Okay, I think we're recording. This is for English 103. And as you know, we're in week 9 right now. We're starting week 9 this week. And in week 9, the big item is for you to submit your final draft of your rhetorical analysis submission. So you can see that right here. This is the final draft in which I use the essay grading rubric. So we want to make sure that you look at that before you submit so that you get full credit. The other item that we're going to be talking about are database source worksheets. But before we talk about that, I want to go over the instructions for your final big project. So after you upload the rhetorical analysis submission, we are done with 2 of the units, 2 of the 3 for this course. We only have 1 major paper left. And so it'll be really important you get comfortable with it and you understand it before we move in, because we will be going totally online in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We will no longer be meeting face-to-face for class. I will also no longer be having synchronous sessions, which means the course is set up for asynchronous, which means I'll still open a week at a time, but I won't force you to be online at a particular day or time to talk with me. I will keep my Zoom hours as they are. I will keep them exactly the same. And of course, you can always email me if you need to meet with me in addition or at a different time than what is posted. But it's very, very important you have a very good feel for this final essay. Now, I have not yet completed grading on week 8. I'm in the process of it. I believe I gave you feedback on your drafting. And remember, for drafting, you simply had to show me you had information in each of the sections and that you made an attempt at the works cited page. It did not need to be complete. If I saw some glaring things, I made a comment, things like, hey, MLA format, or you forgot to cite Jim Fowles or something like that.
I'll ask you later. I had a hard time trying to put a heading in.
Yeah, we can talk about how to insert a header, you bet.
It's probably because this is different. I'm
Yeah, no problem. We can, so that is one of the things I may or may not have made a comment on, if you did the insert header correctly or not correctly. So the big thing though in the draft, remember, you got full credit if you had something in every section and you attempted a works cited page and attempted MLA formatting. Now, I will be giving more specific feedback on the review worksheet. So your review worksheet, you were supposed to answer some questions. And based on what you wrote on those questions, will determine what feedback I give you. So I'll give you feedback on the review sheet, possibly more than what was on the draft. A lot of you met with me for conferencing. We did a lot of conferencing last week, and I addressed in detail some of the things that you could improve on. So the number one thing for week 9 is for you to upload the final submission of your rhetorical analysis essay. Remember, this needs to be uploaded before Sunday, and then I will grade according to the rubric. And then we are done with, 2/3 of the class. 2 out of the 3 major writing assignments will be complete at that point. Now, the other item, database worksheet, I'll talk about in a minute. The database worksheet assignment is really meant to help you start brainstorming for this next unit or for your final essay. So the instructions are up here. Informative research is your final large essay that you're going to do. No surprise, because it's the 3rd one. It is the largest, in other words, the longest. It'll have the most significant criteria. And in other words, you're going to have the most sources, And the highest page length, it'll be bigger and longer than the first two. That doesn't mean it's worse. It just means you're going to need to spend some time developing. And that's why it's really important to do a good job brainstorming, because you're going to be doing a lot of reading and researching on the topic that you choose. So you're going to want something that's interesting and that you'll be able to get the full page length with. So in the informative research instructions and rubric, as always, I give you the instructions. We're going to go over that today. And then I also provide the grading rubric. It's the same grading rubric, by the way, that I used for the rhetorical. So even though it was used on rhetorical, it'll be used again on the research one. And I've also provided a short video walking through the directions for you in case you forget what I tell you in class today. Now, don't panic. This video, I don't believe is me. I believe it's a Professor Miller, but that's okay. We use the exact same criteria. We're doing the exact same thing. So even though it may not be me talking, that's okay. It's the same content. I don't remember if he did the video or I did the video. We do a lot of joint work together. So I'm not sure who it is. So informative research essay instructions. This is where you're going to find the instructions, and of course, then it downloads. It's important that you go over the instructions so you know what you're going to be going for in this essay. It's an informative research essay, and I really want to kind of clarify that it is not persuasive. It's not meant to persuade anybody of anything. It's meant to inform the reader. So the contextual information, in other words, why do we have you write this essay? Because in your personal and most likely your professional life, you're going to be required to pass on information effectively. And this does not matter what career you're going into, what profession. Every profession, this is a requirement that you be able to pass on information effectively and usually fairly unbiased. In other words, the goal is not to persuade your audience in the workplace. Often it is simply to inform them so that better decisions or accurate decisions can be made moving forth. So writing to inform is the act of giving. You're giving the reader new knowledge or information about your topic. So when you inform using outside research, it's really important that you are hitting sources that are truthful and reliable in your material. And you are not relying on your personal knowledge. In other words, you need an outside source to support whatever you're telling them. And then, of course, you want to be even-handed and unbiased when you are giving information. And then when you are relaying, in other words, when you are writing, you want to write with clarity and with an understanding of the larger audience. Okay, so it's not always just, in this case, it's not going to be just me. You're writing with a larger audience in mind. So we are practicing in this essay, we are having you practice writing clear, concise information using credible library, and you are allowed to use internet sources. So in step one, brainstorming, this is where we're at right now. You're going to choose a topic. And when you choose a topic, you want to think of all the ideas, key terms, anything that interests you that you might spend the unit investigating. You're going to spend a lot of time researching. So you want to think about all aspects of the topic in your brainstorming, and then think about things that are associated with it that interest you. Think about the things you might need to explain in order for your audience to understand the topic that you're going to choose. And then how does it fit within the topic? And we want it unique, researchable, and interesting to you. It also has to be complex enough to sustain a lengthy paper. Now, this last line is really important. It has to be researchable. In other words, if you can't find information about the topic that you have chosen, then you're not going to be able to use it for this particular essay. It's as simple as that. You're going to have quite a few sources, and it'll be really important that you choose something that you are able to find information on. It's also very important that it be interesting to you. Now, can you do this essay? Can you do your researching and it not be of interest? Of course you can. However, it becomes somewhat of an act of torture because you have to keep going back to something that you don't really care about. So, and if possible, pick something that's interesting to you. And this last part is the topic has to be complex enough to sustain a lengthy paper. You're going to inform the reader about something that interests you. You're going to either provide examples, facts, stories, information from sources to help enrich the reader's knowledge. So the assignment that I'm going to talk about today, the database worksheet, this is meant to help you start brainstorming and looking for topics that are of interest. So that's where we're at today, step one. I'm going to go through the rest of the criteria for this essay so that you understand when I say lengthy essay and requirements, you understand what you're going for in this. So in order to show you're knowledgeable and understand a complexity of the research essay, you're going to have support material that's credible and accurate. So all of your sourcing is going to have to be credible and accurate. You will want to try and seek information about your topic from a variety of sources. This means books, magazines, newspapers, journals, interviews. You may use firsthand personal knowledge if you have any and you are credible in that field. For example, if you are talking about something you want to inform the reader something about diesel engines and you've had extensive work, you're a mechanic and you work on diesel engines, absolutely you would be credible. You may locate items on the internet, in the databases, and in our SMC library. Actually, you can locate them in any library you wish. For this essay, the research requirements are as follows. Now, this is very important that you understand and that you're aware of because this is going to dictate some of what you may or may not choose your topic on. So the minimum of sourcing for this essay is 5. You must have 5 and they have to be credible outside sources. That means you are not an outside source when you're writing. So if you write about something you know, you are not considered an outside source. You need 5 outside sources. Now, they have to be credible, and I'm going to clarify right away. No wikis, no blogs, no personal web pages allowed. They have to be credible in the fact that there's an authority, they've been vetted. Of those 5, 3 must come from one of our library databases. So 3 of your 5 sourcing must be found within our SMC library databases. The library databases, there are 4 of them, and when you watch the video, Jennifer Zimmer does talk about them, ProQuest, OmniFile, Gale. I do not require they be scholarly sources, which means they do not have to be peer-reviewed, but they have to be credible and pass the CRAP test. Now, I'll give you a bit of a hint on this. Almost everything in our database has already been vetted and it's credible. So when you are pulling things from a database, you're already halfway there. And I always tell students, start with your databases because you're more likely to find credible sources very easy and it's a lot less work. I don't limit you to only databases, but I do allow you, if you choose to get all 5 from the databases, that is totally fine. Within the databases, you can find newspaper articles, you can find books, you can find a variety of sources. In this essay, you are allowed to use 1 interview from a credible person. You are not allowed to use more than one interview, and they must be credible, which means they're an expert or they've been acknowledged, they have significant experience in that field. You are not required to have an interview. You are allowed. So it's not a requirement that you have an interview. All sources will need to be correctly cited within your essay using MLA in-text citation, and you're going to have a full bibliographic entry on your works cited page. So just like you were doing for the rhetorical analysis, you're going to be required to use an in-text citation, very similar to what you did with Jib Fowles, and you will have to list the full sourcing properly on the works cited page. All sources will have to pass the CRAP test. Okay, so that is the requirement so far. Now, when you draft and revise your research essay, before you even get there, you're going to want to spend a lot of time reading and annotating sources. And I'll talk about annotating, but essentially, you're going to want to make sure you mark exactly what information from your sources you're going to want to use and how you want to use it. Now, here's a tip. For this paper, one of the steps leading up to your drafting is to create an annotated bibliography. An annotated bibliography is where you list the source correctly as it would be on the works cited page, and then you give a summary of that source and how you're going to use it within the essay. So in this essay, if you'll notice, we're going to do some scaffolding. Right now we're brainstorming. We're going to be working within databases, but if you find some good sourcing in the databases, make sure you mark them and begin taking notes. And the two things you really want to make sure you have in your notes or you're annotating is what information you might want to use from that source and how you might want to use it within the essay. In other words, will you want to address one of your support items in your thesis, or maybe to address the counter argument? Or there's actually no counter argument, my bad. It will be in support of one of the items that you're talking about within your thesis. So just like other essays, I want you to organize it the same way. So the first section will be introduction. You'll have a series of body paragraphs, and then I want a conclusion. So introduction, body, conclusion, just like all the other essays that we've been working on. So an introduction will include your pitch. In other words, why is it important that the reader know about your topic? And then, of course, provide a brief roadmap for the rest of your essay. In other words, what are you going to cover within your topic in your essay? You should provide a reference to a source in your introductory paragraph, and it will probably be the most important source, and you may keep coming back to this through the essay. Now, within the introduction, you are going to need a thesis statement, just like with all of our other essays. The thesis statement summarizes the information for the reader that they're going to learn within your essay. So once again, the thesis statement needs to be 2 or 3 sentences. Follow that formula that we've been working on. And I want the thesis specifically at the end of your introduction. So once again, if you do an introduction, multiple sentences, the last 2 or 3 sentences of your introduction are your thesis, telling the reader what they're going to be informed of in the rest of your essay. Does that make sense? And I give you 2 examples of this, okay? So the first one is a research essay on Christianity, Catholicism, and atheism. They covered all 3 of those areas within their paper. And then the second one is comic book villains and heroes, particularly Joker, Batman, and Deadpool. Now, this is what we talk about in your thesis. You may have to craft it specifically for areas because you will not be writing a large enough essay to cover all the villains in comic books, right? Comic book villains, there's a million of them, there's a ton of them. So you're going to narrow it down to specific ones, and then you'll give information about them. And you can see how they did this. You can also see that their thesis statements, either 2 or 3 sentences, they are not small sentences. They're compound, complex. They're covering quite a bit of information. And then the third one is they researched different types of therapy and focused on music therapy and animal therapy. And so then this is how they structured their particular thesis. So those are 3 examples of different types of thesis statements. I don't know why I thought, yeah, I have thesis example 1, 2, and 2. It should have been example 3. I apologize, a typo. So that's your introduction. Your introduction, as I said before, is going to include your pitch for your topic. In other words, why it's important for the reader to know this information. Also tell them what they will learn about the topic within your essay, kind of a roadmap. You're going to be covering specific items. Provide a point of reference. In other words, what main source do you think you're going to be coming back to throughout? And then your thesis statement. Then your body. Now your body of your essay is going to be designed around your main points within your thesis. So whatever you choose to cover in your thesis, that's where you're going to be building the body, and that's how it's going to be sectioned off within your paragraphs. Now, when you are including information, make sure you include what the reader needs to know in order to be knowledgeable about what you're talking about or what your topic is. You want to move beyond common knowledge. Remember, your goal is to inform them of something they don't already know. So each of your paragraphs should have a topic sentence that reveal the main point of it, and then the rest of the paragraph will be in support of that, and either through examples, information, sourcing, whatever. Remember, you're the translator for the information. Remember the 3 I's. You want to introduce, then integrate, and then interpret. So remember, for your sourcing, you don't just plop and drop a quote. You want to introduce it. Remember, that's kind of the ACT, the author, credibility, title of your sourcing, short summarization of the sourcing. And then you integrate the quote within it. Next. So you're introducing it, then you integrate the quote, you have your quote, and then you follow up with an interpretation of the meaning in relevance to your topic. Now, in the body paragraph, you're probably quoting once every single paragraph. That would not be unusual. You're going to have a lot of sourcing in this. I do want to caution you. Sometimes things are very long. And in the rules of MLA, block quoting is when you take 4 or more lines from a source that you want to use and integrate into your essay. And there's a special formatting you have to do. You are allowed to do block quoting, but you're only allowed to use 1 block quote the entire essay. So you get that 1 time, no more. So block quoting, remember, is when you're using 4 or more lines from a source. Body paragraphs basically are summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. So one of those 3 things should be happening every single paragraph within your body. And then finally, you have your conclusion. Now, a good conclusion will leave your reader kind of wanting to learn more about it. So what do you want the reader to remember? What do you want them to do with information? Your goal is to kind of, for lack of a better word, inspire them to go out and find more information on this topic. It's not just a summary, but kind of a launching pad. In other words, so what? What is the purpose of you writing this informative essay? You have to give that in your conclusion. This, more than any other essay, is MLA formatting from top to bottom. This, sorry?
How many paragraphs do we need for this essay? 3?
It's not about paragraphs, it's about pages. You're gonna have to have a minimum of 4 pages. So depending on how many items within your topic you're gonna cover will determine how many body paragraphs. So if you're gonna cover 4 items within your topic, you'll have 4 paragraphs within the body. Now remember, that's outside the introduction and outside the conclusion. Okay? Does that help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes one of my problems with essay is I just don't know how, like, the length can be at times.
Yeah,
like, I don't know
yeah.
how much information you need to put in.
Yeah,
When we're done with this, can you help me with?
absolutely. I can go over it one-on-one with you a little bit more, you bet. So this essay, when you turn it in for the final draft for grading, more than any other one, it should be top to bottom formatted MLA correctly. So MLA document design, it has to have in-text citations, and it has to have a works cited page. All of it has to adhere to MLA formatting. That's what we've been working on all semester in our essays. So remember, throughout our Moodle page, I have given you lots and lots of resources in regards to MLA formatting. You can also conference with me on it. You can also do a writing consultation on it. So there are lots of options for you to make sure your formatting is correct before you submit your final draft. So this particular essay, a minimum of 4 pages. That means it can be more than 4. It may not be less than 4. And 4 means there's at least 1 word spilling onto a 5th page. Remember, you're going to have to submit it before the due date. I will post the due date on Moodle. And this is one essay I want to caution you. I do not accept it late. These essays take quite a long time to grade, and it'll be at the end of the semester, and I will not have time to be grading late work. Now, most of you are doing a great job of turning things on time, no problem. But some of you have been kind of having a pattern, a few of you, a pattern of, oh, it's always late, it's always late, it's always late. I just want to really, really caution you on this. You won't get late credit. You're going to get a 0, and you will not pass the class. You will not successfully complete this class with 73.4% or higher if you do not submit this essay. If you get a 0 on this essay, the way the grading structure is set up, there's no way for you to successfully complete this course. This essay is a measure of what is being learned this semester. So I really want to caution you, make sure you pay attention to due dates on this, and do not miss a due date if you want successful completion of the course. Now, you will be doing 1 online writing consultation for this essay. That will be one of your assignments. You're welcome to do more. You can do as many as you want, but I will require 1 as we get farther. Now, a word of caution about plagiarism. Plagiarism is a big deal in the college arena. It's actually easy to avoid. If you use any information from a source, you gotta acknowledge that you're using it. If you use it word for word, then put quotation marks around it. If you're summarizing or paraphrasing the information in your own words, then you still got to acknowledge you got it from another source and put it on the works cited page. So plagiarism is super easy to avoid. And I do want to kind of give you a word of encouragement. You're going to have a lot of it on this essay. Probably almost half of your essay is going to be through either quoting, summarizing, or paraphrasing. And then your writing is kind of the glue that holds it together. You're writing kind of in between to help with flow and get the reader from one to another within your essay. So do not be alarmed if you have a lot of paraphrasing and quoting and summarizing in there. As long as you are acknowledging properly every time the sourcing, you will be absolutely fine. So these are the instructions for the big essay, the big one that's going to be due in probably 3 weeks. Now, let me come back here. It might be 3 or 4. I forget how many we have left in the semester. So as I come back into week 9, as I said, I've already talked about submitting your final draft for rhetorical analysis. Now, I want to talk about the assignment for this week in relationship to your topic. Remember, we're in the brainstorming stage of this final essay. So the database worksheet assignment, if you notice, I give you a video right away. I mean, I do this video. I talk you through the instructions of the worksheet. But on this assignment, I also provide you 3 other videos, and you're going to need to watch all 3 of these videos in order to be able to complete the worksheet effectively. So these videos, how to do an advanced search. This is Jen Zimmer, our reference librarian at SMC, who created these videos. So the first one is how to do an advanced search. The next one, what to do with results of an advanced search. And then the third one, how to look for informative essay topic ideas. I recommend you start with the third one first and use that as your brainstorming. So what this does is it teaches you how to manipulate and maneuver within databases to look for potential topics that might be of interest to you. You will need to watch all 3 of those, though, in order to complete this worksheet effectively. So the worksheet is right there, and as always, you just click on it and it will download for you. It is an interactive document, which means you just simply enable editing and then you may type right on it. Now, the worksheet says using databases and information shared with you, that's the videos I just showed you. Please answer the questions below by typing your answers directly below the question. And then number 2, I recommend you take notes while you're watching the video or during the presentation in order to complete the assignment properly. Normally what happens in my face-to-face classes is we would have Jennifer Zimmer either come into the class and show us the databases, do a presentation, or we would go to the library and she would do a presentation for us there. Obviously, with everything with COVID and everything, they don't want us doing that. So don't worry about where it says presentation. The videos are really a presentation. Now, once you complete this, submit it as an upload on Moodle under the correct assignment submission. So the first thing you have to do, number 1, list 2 of the database names out of the 4 main ones she shows you during the presentation. So within those videos, there will be 4 databases that she refers to. You only need to list 2 of them. Then you need to describe the process of how to access one of them by writing step-by-step instructions. Be specific. So name the 2 databases, and then I want you to go 1 or step 1, tell me what to do. Step 2, tell me what to do. Step 3, tell me what to do. And if I follow your steps, it should get me to the databases. Does that make sense? Now, after I'm done talking about this, I'm actually going to walk you through also how to get to the databases. So if you pay attention and take notes, I will walk you through it as well right now before the end of this video. Number 2, what were the 3 Boolean operators mentioned to be used during searches of databases? So when you're searching in the databases, Boolean operators can help you refine your search. What are they most useful for? So then after you name the 3 Boolean operators, you want to tell me what are they used for? How would you use them? And then be specific for each one. So one of them is and. Okay, when would I use the Boolean operator and? Why would I use it? And then explain to me how I would use it. And then the other 2 as well. Number 3. Navigate to one of the databases shared with you, so one of those 4 databases, and go ahead and start searching a topic you might be interested in for your paper. Go ahead and surf it. Just look, spend as long or as you want looking. Once you find a topic that's of interest to you, list the author, title, and link for a source within that topic that comes from that database that you're in. So one of those four, while you're surfing, look for something that looks of interest to you and find an article relating to it. And then number 4, besides the topic you listed in number 3, so remember topic and then an article relating to that topic. What are two other potential topics you're interested in that you can find within the databases? So essentially when you're done with this, you have 3 potential topics, 3 different topics. Number 3, though, you need to at least find one article relating to a topic of choice. Number 4, you do not need to find articles yet. You're just telling me 2 other topics of interest. Does that make sense so far on the worksheet? So the worksheet is not difficult. It's not long. It's not complicated. It is exactly what I said. It is meant for you to start brainstorming and looking for potential topics and articles relating to it. Now, as I promised, I want to talk to you and show you how to get to our databases. So step 1, go to the SMC Wired website. Step 2, go to our library resources tab, and you will see it in the green area. It says library resources. Click on library resources. Step 3, our databases are listed on the left. I do want to caution you. Remember, you are looking for the 4 that are mentioned by Jen Zimmer within the videos. You don't have to name all 4, but you have to name 2 of the 4 that she talks about. I can tell you right now, Art Store is not one of them she mentions, okay? So these particular items are specialty ones. You will probably not use them all, but one that you will very likely use will be Gale in Context College. And so to get to the database, you click on the link and it takes you directly to this particular database. So Gale in Context College. So I am now in the database. There I am. Within the database, you can do a search. This is for all of them, by the way. So I can do a search or I can do an advanced search. When you're searching, now again, when you are looking for topics of interest, it gives you some if you want. You just click on the arrow. These might be something you want to do. You might want to browse topics down here. Do any of these things look interesting to you that you might want to look into? So as I'm going through here, I'm going to take a look at, I don't know, Greek mythology. That's always been a real big interest of mine. So Greek mythology, and it gives me an overview of it. And then it talks about all the different kinds of sources related to Greek mythology within this database. So, I might want academic journals relating to Greek mythology. And then at this point, you might want to start searching, okay, what about Greek mythology? Do I want to know? So in this particular one, it starts giving you areas. And this is basically what we're doing is we're just surfing, looking for things of interest. And then once you find your item of interest, then you can do a deeper search and even go into advanced search where you can use your Boolean operators here. So your Boolean operators are over on the left and or not. So you might want to do whatever, I don't know, Pegasus, and then what is it?
I just said airlines, that's also one of the things that one of the things you search for is airlines.
So Greek mythology, Pegasus, I'm just gonna say not horse. Oh no, I already have not. and I'm just gonna go not horse, okay? So it's gonna remove any kind of Pegasus with a horse, all dates. It allows you a lot of different items that you can put in the search to kind of narrow it down. It's kind of its own type thing. So that is one database. So I gave you step-by-step how to get to it. But there are other databases that you can use. They all work very similar, just so you know. I'm backing out, but I'm not getting to where I want. So that was Galen Context College. I want to show you ProQuest. ProQuest Arts and Humanities is the biggest one, but ProQuest also has subdivisions. So these help you if you're specializing something particular you have an interest in. ProQuest Business, Career and Tech. ProQuest Central is the biggest one. I said Arts and Humanities, I was wrong. Central is kind of the big one that encompasses all the others. That's the one I usually like to start with. And ProQuest works, again, very similarly, but you'll notice it does not give you topics yet. You have to choose what topic you want. Does anybody, oh, by the way, you have full text and you have peer reviewed. Peer reviewed is scholarly. Remember, you're not required to do that, but these will get you usually scholarly and higher credibility items. Does anybody have a topic that they might be interested in that I can just click into here and just do a quick surface search on? What are you thinking of? Anything, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to pop it in there.
Eggs.
Go for it. What is it? Eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is fine.
Is there anything specific in regard to eggs or just hen eggs, goose eggs, eggs? So I'm going to use the advanced search. And let's see if I can find it. Eggs, search tips right here. So it's telling me eggs and dieting, and that's a Boolean operator, and dieting, because I want both of them in articles that have both of those words in it. Now, it's telling me, if you look over on the left there, there's like 15,000 articles. That's a lot of articles, which means, okay, I want to maybe modify my search a bit. Maybe, let's see, here we go, modify search. And by the way, I did full text, which means it'll give me the whole article. If you don't do full text, sometimes it'll give you an abstract, which is only a summary. And remember, you can't use that in your citing. So what's your interest? We're going to say eggs and dieting. And then give me one more item around it. And health.
Yes. Oh.
So let's see if that narrows it down for us. So yeah, it cleaned out 5,000 of them. Now I'm down to 10,000. So if you look over here, it's telling me how I can limit it. I can limit it to full text. I'm going to try limiting also to scholarly journals. These are a higher credibility. It means they're peer reviewed. Again, it's not required, but hey, take a look. Now I'm down to 1,000. Okay. Now I'm not saying that you'll need to narrow it down that way. You may want to narrow it down by the last 12 months, the most recent information you can find. Now I'm down to 55. That's manageable, right? So when you are looking for research, it really depends on your topic, how recent. It needs to be, some topics, they have to be very, very current. It needs to be within the last 12 months. As a general rule, you want something within the last 3 to 5 years. But again, it depends on your topic. If you're talking anything about history, you want to inform the reader about Abe Lincoln's childhood. Yeah, it doesn't really, you don't need to have something within the last 12 months. You can probably, history doesn't really change that much. So those are some search things. I hope that helps you get to where you want to be within the databases. Remember, you can do ProQuest Advanced Search. There's your Boolean operators right from the beginning. I was typing them in the box, but you can do them within Advanced Search on ProQuest. Each of the databases has an advanced search. So you should be able to do that to kind of help narrow down. The other thing I want to really encourage you with this, now, number one, watch the videos, surf those databases, look around, but also feel free to reach out to Jen Zimmer. She is our reference librarian and she is fabulous. She's wonderful. I believe her number is 782-1339 if you want to call her on the phone. Otherwise, shoot her an email. If you want to shoot her an email, there is a spot right on the library resources, in library resources. And over on the right-hand side, it says Ask a Librarian. If you click on this goes to her directly. So you just type in your name, your email, your phone number. I don't know if she ever calls or if she just answers via email, but if she wants your phone number, there's a chance she may give you a call. And then type her what your question is. Be very specific for her, because the better you phrase your question, the better she can help you. So if you just ask her something generic, it takes like 3 or 4 times back and forth for her to figure out what you need help with. So be very specific. Say something like, I've been using the ProQuest Central database to search eggs and dieting, and I keep getting 10,000 responses. Can you suggest a better terminology or different terminology to help me? I want to write about, and then tell her very specifically what you want to write about, what you're interested in, because quite often she will also offer you better keywords to use. You know, we're using eggs and dieting, but she might have a better suggestion. I mean, this is her job. This is her specialty. I go to Jen when I'm looking for things to ask for wording. She's an expert in this area. All right. That is where we are at for this week, week 9. Any questions or concerns or issues? Yes, go for it.
I was trying to get to the database.
Yeah.
Just to look at it.
Yeah.
While you were explaining it.
Yeah.
But it says it's not, I don't have access to it.
So let's just double check. Are you logged into SMC Wired? So you're on this page right here. Can you see my screen right here, the green? Do you see those tabs up there?
Yeah.
You want to go all the way to the top of your page. Where is it telling you you don't have access to the databases?
I went to the library section, and where it said it had the databases listed, I clicked on Yale books and it said that I was forbidden.
So if you see, can you see my screen up there?
Yeah.
So you are trying to get into Gale eBooks right here, that one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if it lets me in. If it doesn't let me in, then there must be something. So is it pulling up this?
No, it just pulls up a screen that says it's forbidden.
Okay, so what I want you to do is go back into library resources. And I want you to go over on the right-hand side where it says Ask a Librarian. You see where I'm at? Go back into the databases. You just want to back out and go into the regular, here, SMC Library Resources. Just click on that one right there at the top. And then I want you to hit Ask a Librarian, and I want you to fill that out, and that's going to go to Jen Zimmer, and I want you to explain what the problem is that you're having, and she'll be able to answer, tell you why it's forbidden for you.
Okay.
It's probably just something you need to reset or they have to do on their end. I'm not sure, but she'll be able to clear that up for you.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns before I stop recording? All right, we're going to stop share. We're going to end.